The reason why I focus on growth is, and I'm really focused on consumer companies and consumer startups. For any consumer startup, the lifeblood of that business, especially from very early on, is consumer growth. Right? Without hundreds of thousands or millions or now tens of millions of customers, you really don't have a business. And I noticed that most investors and advisors are not really focused on that, and many of the companies, I think, are focused on the wrong thing from the very beginning. And it might be that they're focused on distribution strategies that don't lead to growth or revenue strategies that don't lead to growth. In fact, sometimes those strategies can actually be counter to consumer growth. You know, often I'm working with companies that have 3 or 4 people, maybe fewer, maybe a few more. And so you have, realistic expectations of resources. I mean, how much can you really do with 1 or 2 or 3 engineers? And often you have to make a decision. Do you decide to focus on building features that will lead to a better conversion of, say, free customers to your product that can convert to paid customers? Or do you focus on features that could potentially bring in more free customers or more customers that maybe one day down the road you can monetize or convert to paying customers? Generally speaking, it's very challenging to do both of those very well from the beginning. And so what I try to instill in my startups that I work with is, if you're a consumer company that's trying to build a brand and you have a potential for hyper growth, which is, going from 0 to millions of customers in weeks, months, or within a year, then I would try to focus on what features and what kind of product you can build that can lead to organic growth or viral marketing at 100%, as opposed to what features can maybe make a few more of those people pay a couple of bucks. So again, I'm going to have the lens of a consumer company, and I think there's some growth tactics and techniques that are now happening on the enterprise and business side. If you wanted to be a consumer growth expert, here are the things that you should do. You should read and listen to all the content that's out there about this expertise. There are a couple of websites, growthhackers.com and others that you can learn from. There are great slide shares out there. Zana has some great content on growth. Really immerse yourself in what the experts are saying about growth, so you understand it from a high level and then from as much detail as possible. That's number one. Number two, there are the Growth Hacker Conference. There's conferences that you can attend. There's some boot camps that you can attend. Go to those events. Meet the people who are doing it. Understand the kind of background they have. All right. So now you have a frame of reference. The most important thing, after you now have a sense of what you can sort of understand the language and what people are talking about, is getting experience. And so either, if you're technically capable, which is the ideal thing, is build an app and try and grow it. Using the things you learned, try and apply that to your own business. Maybe it's really something you're passionate about, or maybe it's just this is a fun project that you can prove to yourself and to a potential employer that you've done this. And maybe, even better, you've come up with something new and creative that no one else has thought of. And not only are you now a growth hacker, but maybe you'll become a well-known growth hacker before you even get into the community. So, and even if you fail, having that experience actually will be very, very valuable. If you're fortunate enough, maybe you can go to work for a growth team. There's some great companies that are hiring growth hackers. Several of the mentors at Maven mentors at Twitter and Airbnb and other companies, Wealthfront, have great growth teams with really, really amazing educated growth hackers who could teach you a lot. You just go and learn for a couple of years and add value there. That would probably be the easiest way to become an expert in the space, but maybe the most challenging as far as getting a job in that way. So get experience, right? Learn and get experience. Make mistakes. Hopefully have a bunch of successes, and then you really can be an expert in the growth hacking space.